Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Yeah, I love today's technology for many different reasons, as I'm sure you do. And especially if you're working with somebody to change the way your living space looks, working with an interior designer, they have access to so many things that you can look at. We're going to see some of those examples today as it applies to furniture, custom upholstered. There's so many different things out there that I wasn't even aware of. She's our professional of the year, and she is the owner, interior designer of Rooms by Sandy, Decorating Den Interiors. Sandy Schuster is back with us. Hi, Sandy. How are you?
I'm good, Steve. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. We've uh,
Good.
we've looked at a bunch of different things along the way here. If you're listening on the audio side, don't worry, we'll describe what you're about to see, but certainly on the video side, the befores and afters are some of my favorites. How the transformation takes place, where somebody has a vision, shares it with you, you take it to another level, give them examples of what can be done, and then voila, there it is. And then you can say, well, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Well, let's go make a modification to that. When it comes to fabrics, it's almost endless. I'm gonna have to think it's almost endless, right?
Right. Lots of different choices.
Within that, what are some of the considerations that we should have before we should have before we get deeper into any of this and looking at examples?
Well, when it comes to fabric, you want to think about how you're going to use it. Um, uh, you know, do you have kids or do you spill drinks on your furniture? What's really cool is there's a lot of now performance fabrics out there. So they have kind of a coating on them, and there's lots of different colors and looks. But if you spill something on it, you can just dab it up, and usually that's it, or else it's soap and water cleanup.
Hmm.
So you want to think about how you're going to use it. If you're not going to sit on it, is it going to get a lot of use? Is it going to get, maybe you're going to use it 4 times of the year just for holidays, that type of thing.
What about the the pattern and design? Now, obviously, that has to go in line with your room and what you're trying to achieve, the actual look. But are there some considerations there in terms of patterns, colors?
Well, definitely, what's kind of the color palette in the room? Um, how does it go with other things? The wood treatments, the paint color on the wall, draperies. So yeah, the fabric can make a big difference. You can mix patterns though, geometrics with florals. There's kind of some tricks to that, but it just depends on people's tastes and what they want. But there's all kinds of patterns and looks that you could have.
So when you work with somebody, what's the first thing that you consider when it comes to the furniture? Is it
How are they gonna use it? Where
use?
is it gonna
Okay.
be placed
Wow.
in the room? Is it gonna be a great place to lounge and watch TV? Is it to entertain guests with cocktails? Is it
Hmm.
um just a sitting room that they want to look pretty and not use? I don't see that much anymore. People want to use their furniture, they want to use their homes, their rooms.
You bring back memories to my cousin's house back in the day when I was a kid. And yes, there was plastic, clear plastic in one particular room. And it was almost like, as a kid, it was like, don't ever go in that room. Like we would just walk by like it didn't exist.
Right,
And it
right,
had a white rug. Never forgot that too. So
right.
it was almost destined to be a room you wouldn't go in. I mean, who picks a like legit white rug? Um, and plus,
Right.
plus, my aunt would know when somebody went in there because you can see the tracks on the right
Rug.
and the carpeting, right? Let's take a look at some stuff. What can we look at today?
Okay, sure. Okay. So I have over 10 furniture suppliers that do custom furnishings, and I picked a few because I could go on for hours about it.
Sure.
So I just wanted to show one of my suppliers. This is one of my suppliers where you can actually, there's 6 different arm options.
Wow.
The panel arm, the sock arm, the pleated arm, the track arm. The track arm is more contemporary, whereas probably your panel arm is more traditional.
Wow. That is really cool. Got to tell you,
Yeah, yeah,
even in a design, these are illustrations, they're not even actual pictures, but
right.
even looking at the different arms on a chair translates to what we're dealing with. And right away, the English arm, I see it, I've got it. The right down to the panel arm with nails, another classic kind of look.
Uh-huh.
And I guess if you wanted something not too older looking, but not too track arm modern, which is very square, I guess the sock arm would be, maybe that and maybe the pleated arm.
There's also the same supplier has another line that has kind of a sloped arm that's more of a modern style. So I would probably show that if I have a client that maybe wants to kind of go more in the middle, more transitional like.
Wow.
So, so this is just one, and then the different backs. Do you want it to just be loose so you can pull it out and clean behind it, or do you want it to be attached because it drives you crazy because your kids are always moving your cushions around and they're never anyway. And then do you want it boxed or do you just want a knife edge? So
Wow. And you could just say, I want that arm with that back, and then pick the fabric. And I guess the feet would be another
yes.
consideration. Oh,
So
there
the
we go.
feet are so skirted, very traditional, tapered leg, more modern. The turn leg is very classic. Then do you want nail heads? And this was actually, I pulled this out of a presentation I did for a client. I did 2 sofas for him. And this kind of showed how it would look. And it doesn't have the arms that he picked, but it comes with pillows on it. So I picked the pillow fabric and whatnot. So let me kind of walk you through
Yeah,
the
please.
presentation I did for him.
So
So,
cool.
you can also choose your cushion. So in this particular line, there's 2 cushions, but this particular supplier has 5 different types of cushions. So depending on, if you want it really soft, when you sit on it, the blend down, and then the comfort soft cushion is nice too. It doesn't, it's not as soft because it doesn't have the down, but it's a wonderful, wonderful cushion. I don't sell anything that's poor, poor quality. Oh, and then you can also pick the finish on the legs. So different colors that might coordinate with a coffee table, with maybe say have other furnishings in the space. So you want to coordinate with it, and different nail heads. And again, this is just one supplier and what they offer. So
Hmm.
for this client, I showed him all of this, and then oh, one more thing. Performance fabrics. I talked about this a little bit initially. But and this there's a child on here, but there could just as easily be somebody sitting here watching the football game with a bowl of chips and a beer, and um adults, we spill things too, right? But what I like about it is that you can blot it up, you can see how it beads up here, and it's nice, and it's affordable as well. It's not your higher priced fabric.
Really cool.
So, okay, so now let me get into, this was the rendering that I did for this client. I did several renderings, and this is the one that he chose. Remember, he had the 2 sofas, a coffee table, and the 2 chairs. And then I actually showed him the actual sofa. He picked the black legs and this fabric. And then we coordinated the fabric that was on the pillows with this chair. We're going to get 2 of these, and he did the black. And I thought it was really striking it really nicely with the area rug and coffee table that he selected.
Hmm.
Um,
I could see me in that. Maybe it's a man thing. I don't know. Um, but I like the old school looking base and the arms that we looked at previously. It's not me. I would want something a little more
right.
modern. Maybe not over
Right.
the top, but this looks nice.
Yeah, I think it's a nice look, and it's more common that people like this. But then I actually then will bring the fabrics. Like I brought these 2 fabrics. This one was called Fisher. This one was called Rig. And I actually brought the finishes for the legs, showed him the little pieces of wood so he could actually see that. So
Hmm.
that can be another thing. The client can touch and feel it. They can put it in their space, kind of see how it looks, similar to having a paint sample painted on your wall. You can now see what it looks like. And these are screen renderings, so they're not perfect. So the actual seeing the fabric can be very helpful.
So maybe I missed it, but what was his intent? What was his goal for this? His use for the furniture.
Oh, he has a lot of game nights. So he wanted a really big coffee table where he could do games. He does a lot of board games and gaming with friends. He wants a place to hang out and watch TV. He has a huge TV, the biggest TV I've probably ever seen. And he's selling a home and wants to moving into a new space, and he just wants to have nice quality furniture that kind of can last for a lifetime until he downsizes in the future.
Hmm. And those colors are the actual ones that you presented based on what he told you.
Yeah, told me the kind of the feel that he was looking for. He didn't want anything really busy. He wanted something more calming, something that was, more classy looking. I mean, I think it's going to be a really classy look when we get this installed.
Hmm.
But just, these were other sofa options I could have showed him with different color palettes. I actually did show him different fabrics and different wood tones on the legs here. These were the different chairs that I showed him. This particular supplier has 100 different chair options and probably 800 fabrics. So this is just a
Wow.
small percentage. But based on my, questioning with him, I narrowed it down to things that I thought would like, and then I put things into the space that were coordinated.
Really cool.
Yeah. And so then I showed him. I don't like to show my clients too much, but I wasn't really sure kind of his vibe, especially with the chairs. The sofas I felt good about, but like these are swivel chairs. These are big comfy swivel chairs. This is just more of a stationary chair, but he went back to that first one that I selected for him. But this is an idea of how I can go online and I can put fabrics on the chair so you can see it. Again, it's not going to be actually the exact same color, whatever, but you can get a real feel for how it's going to look.
You bring up a great point in that we have to have a little bit of latitude in terms of what it's going to look like because every screen is going to display it differently. And even though some of us can calibrate or do calibrate our screens for our computer and the monitor and everything, and there's some baselines, it's not going to be exact. So I've got to have a little
Right,
latitude
right. So that's why it's nice to see the fabrics,
for
to
sure.
actually see them in person. Oh, and these are custom dining room chairs that I selected for him to match this table that's not custom. It was another supplier that it was a case good supplier. But I picked the wood finish here and then the fabric here. And this was actually the fabric that I picked, and it's a performance fabric. It's called Tilton Sky. Every fabric has a name to it.
Hmm.
So I
Just
don't
like
know where they
paint.
come up with just like paint,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, so
Hmm.
so that
Really,
was what I showed him.
really cool.
Yeah.
And when we say performance, what category would you put his performance situation in? Like very
What do you mean? What?
durable, how durable is it? Is there a category where, we have basic fabric and we have a little bit more performance, more and more to the point of uh you've got messy dogs and cats and kids. Maybe that's all
So
the way
it's
over
it's
here.
probably it's probably around on a scale of 1 to 10. It's probably around a 7 or 8. So
Okay.
a 10 would be the highest performance. He does have cats, and he said he couldn't do anything like vinyl or leather because they're going to go for that, but they stay away from fabric. So that was a consideration as
Hmm.
well. And
We should.
some people want leather. We could get into the cat situation.
Oh yeah, we've talked
Be
about them
crazy.
before, and the fabric that I picked, and I was in a rush, and I thought it would be. I didn't have the cats before I bought the couch, but the the fabric is one in that a cat just gets a little bit on it and can do a lot of damage, where some tightly woven fabrics might not make the same
Right,
difference.
right,
Yeah,
right.
now I know.
Yeah. So this is just since we're talking about the dining room chairs, this is another supplier that has 60 different styles of dining room chairs, probably another 30 different styles of counters, bar stools. And this was just three different ones that I'm showing. And you can pick the fabric,
Wow.
the welt, if there's a welt on it, like a little welt here, the buttons, if it has buttons, and the leg color.
Wow.
So this is that same supplier. I picked just one chair that I liked. It's called the Sandra, and my name's Sandy. My real name's Sandra, so I thought let's pick the Sandra chair.
Very cool.
And so this is one chair 4 different ways. I mean, this chair I just picked the black legs. This chair I picked an aged linen leg, and I put nail heads on it. This one I kind of did a two-tone with a kind of orange with a brown leg. Here, this is a
Nice.
really deep purple with the gray legs. Oh, and most of these chairs have the front stiletto leg, and this chair just has a straight leg. So that's another option for this particular supplier. So imagine 60 different styles of chairs, hundreds of different fabrics, all the different options that you have to really get what your client needs and wants.
Well, this just illustrates that we don't know what goes together. We're not trained in that. Like you take a, random blue color chair like that one, pair it with the sofa. I only know if it looks good and when I see it. You already know what it's going to look like in advance, and that's why you're presenting it. So that to me, that's one of the big pluses working with a interior designer.
Yeah, definitely a plus. And
Yeah,
it's fun. It's something unique. Your neighbor's not going to have it unless they copy.
right.
So then I just had some pictures of custom furniture that I've actually installed, if you want to take a look at that.
Please.
So actually, and then I also do leather. This particular supplier does leather. So these are leather custom swivel chairs. Um, this is a beautiful home that was in a kind of a wooded area here in Colorado. And this is a nice little sitting area. And the nice thing about this is you can swivel and look outside. But it just is I think, really elegant look, even though they're really comfortable.
Is this an actual photograph?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, your
not a
photographs look
rendering.
so good, as does your renderings. I can never tell the difference
Yeah,
between the two. So I just want to know.
yeah,
Cool.
that's the actual.
Wow.
Here's another. We did this custom sectional to fit the space. And the color really went well. You can't see it, but her cabinets here have this green color. And so we tried to kind of pull that green sagey color through the space.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So I think I'm seeing something here. The cabinets, at least on my screen, look more of a brown. I guess there could be a little bit of green hint
Oh,
on there.
it's the bottom cabinets that are green. Yeah.
Bottom meaning,
Where these bar stools are.
okay. Now
Yeah.
the sofa setup, does that have a like a sagey kind of green hint to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you didn't say it, I probably wouldn't think of it, and I would think it's just displaying as a gray, but now I see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's just
Really
a
cool.
light green. This is not a professional picture, but it's a picture that I took. Can't take professional pictures of everything, but this was just a simple L-shaped sectional that coordinated with the draperies and the area rug, kind of a light gray.
Nice. I love the drapes, gotta tell you.
Yeah, just kind of made it a fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's not a professional picture, so it's not all set up, but I found a picture of something similar in a magazine and I showed it to the client. He says, yeah, that's what I want. So I mirrored that because that's what he was looking for. So
What's going on with, oh, yeah. Is that like my best description here is a stackable table situation?
Yes, these are little stackable tables that you can kind of put in the middle. You can bring, there's three of them, so you can bring them to the side to put your drink on or food on.
Wow. Really,
Yeah.
I don't know the best word. I want to say fashionable. I don't know if that's a word in interior design, but uh, the point here is I didn't know that that existed, and I have tables that somebody bought me as a gift, and now they can fold up, but that's kind of a pain in the butt. So they just take up space in my living room. But that I would jump on that in a second.
Yeah, they all stack all under the big ones, so you can really
Yeah,
stack them away.
use them as you need them.
You're right, right. This was a sectional that I just installed. A family of four, they had a big TV over here, and they had a real small sofa here that was real low profile, and we installed this, so it's a really nice U-shaped sofa, so you have a
Hmm,
place for everybody.
very nice, very cozy. Even the painting just ties it all together.
Yeah, that's why I picked the color of the fabric again, so you can customize it to fit this is an artwork that the client currently had, so they didn't have to buy new artwork. It all worked together.
So, kind of a crazy question here. The piece that's in the middle of that sofa setup looks like a table. Looks like it also, if you wanted it to be an ottoman.
It is an ottoman. In fact, that
Okay.
was another piece that the client already had, they wanted to keep. It's really big size. I think it's like 4.5 feet by 4.5 feet. So yeah, you can put your feet on it, you can play games on it.
Love it.
But that was another thing that I took into consideration when picking out the fabric.
Speaking of which, in my house, which I recently sold, had an ottoman and it was leather. Bad idea. And because of, when you put your feet on it and it showed wear. But going back to what we talked about a few moments ago, cats, leather, bad mix. Learned that.
Yeah.
The only thing that saved that piece was this is getting like really geeky, but um, I used. You ever see those pens that you can use on furniture to cover up scuffs? They have all different shades, different walnuts,
I
cherry.
have them. I have them.
Yeah. Well, that was a brown toned leather ottoman. And when the cats would make a mark on it, I would break that out. I would rub it on it, and it was wet like paint. And then I would take a paper towel and blot it in, to the grain. But leather, bad idea. I I didn't hire an interior designer. My bad. I have. What do I know?
You'll also, when you buy leather, you want to buy a leather that's dyed all the way through. So then when it is scratched, you see that same color. You don't see white underneath it or gray. Yeah, so
And
that's another trick.
well,
Yeah.
up until this moment, Sandy, I didn't even know that existed. I'm not
Yeah.
even kidding. And that's
You're gonna
and
pay more for it, but it'll be worth it. You'll love it because it'll age over time, but you won't see the scratches. Well, they'll be there, but the
yeah,
different colors won't bleed through.
yeah, and you won't be breaking out a mahogany furniture pen to get rid of it. Uh, we're out of time. These are fantastic. Your pictures are amazing, and even at the point where you say, well, I took this myself. It's not the professional one. It's great. Like just everything in there. Um, Final question, because I just added this to a couch. You have I guess a throw blanket. Is that exactly what that is? What's the purpose? Is it just for, warmth? Do you just, aesthetically, what's the protocol on something like that? You just leave it draped over to the side?
Well, I draped it over the side to get the photo, but um, it can be comfy if you're laying there. Somebody in the family's too hot, somebody's too cold, so they get the blanket. It's also you can wrap yourself up in it, and it's functional. It should be functional. It just shouldn't be something that's pretty and you can't touch it and wrap yourself up in it.
It's interesting how it makes a design look, best description, lived in or more natural. Um,
Right.
and full disclosure here in terms of function, the reason I got the throw blanket is because on my couch, as I identified, my cat have had it on the edge, so I drape it over the edge to hide what they did.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people put a blanket on their sofa because of the dog or the cat.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All part of the functionality. I've love all of it, Sandy. What's your website? How do we find you?
You can find me on roomsbysandy.decoratingden.com, or my email is schuster@decoratingden.com, or
And
my phone number is 720-885-0019.
what does set you apart from many other interior designers is that you're aligned with Decorating Den Interiors, which, yeah, whatever word you want to describe it, franchise, organization, whatever. The bottom line here is it gives you, as the designer, access to so much more than many others may have in terms of
Right.
vendors, colors, selection, on and on and on.
Right.
Amazing. And we see that
Yeah.
every time we get together.
Yeah.
Super cool. Thank you so much for sharing today.
Thanks. Have a good
Appreciate
day.
it.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.